Jason from Planted in Detroit. We're here today. It's a somewhat okay day in Michigan. I'm losing my mind from quarantine. I desperately need a shower and probably a haircut because I look like a weirdo. Anyway, thought I'd make a video. It's been kind of a rough week. I've had migraines on and off. So why not talk about plants? Because, you know, it makes your life better. Today, we're going to talk about Pothos. You know, I've heard it both ways, and it's just plants, so let's be honest. It's not a big deal. I have a few back here. I have this monster neon. I don't know if it picks up. It's a neon pothos. And it's just overcrowded. So I'm probably gonna make a video soon of me repotting it to something. And I'm planning on splitting it because it's a lot. It's a big boy, big girl. And my biggest issue is I can't water it because all the dirt and mud and water kind of just flows right off, goes through one way and just off the cliff. But it's doing great, even though it's kind of a small pot for this size of plant. So that'll be probably next week. And then I have a golden pothos here, and her lovely daughter is here. I just propagated this in water and made a pretty nice, beautiful plant. And I have a Jade pothos, which you don't really see that often, although I found her at Lowe's about a year ago. And they look quite a bit different. It's this beautiful white, this white and green variegated look. And it's part of the Marble Queen family. And pothos are pretty easy plants. I feel like it's the heroine of plant owners. And when I say that, it's like, try it once, and then a few months later, you're broke as shit, and you have 35 plants, like I did. No, it's not that bad, but I started with my golden pothos, which is right here. She's come a long way. She's grown so much. She's had a daughter, but when I bought her, it was in the fall time, and it was super cheap, which the fall time in Michigan is like the worst time to buy plants. Like, you can find good deals, good prices, because people are trying to clear them out. But it's hard because there's not as much sun when you go into winter, and you run into issues like root rot a lot easier. She had something called powder mildew, which looks like cornstarch or like flour on your leaves. And I treated her for about 6 months, and honestly, the treatment I had was kind of a waste of money. It was like this organic, natural spray, and it didn't do anything. It really didn't. What helped was just waiting a lot longer. I think I dried her out. Usually I do like once a week watering. And for her, I started spreading it out. So I do like a week and a half, and then 2 weeks, and then just every 2 weeks give her a little bit of water, and that seemed to clear it up. Because, I mean, mildew is just from moisture, excess moisture, too much moisture. But anyway, as far as care for these guys, super easy. I usually water them once a week. And once you have them for a while, you can kind of tell from the leaves and the behavior and how it curls, if it needs water. What I do is, for example, this one's kind of easy. Make sure the water goes all the way around, and then you want the water to kind of seep through the bottom. Of course, drainage hole, very important. And you just want it to be thoroughly watered, but you also don't want it drowning in water and like sitting in a puddle for a while. And lighting is pretty simple. It's low light tolerant, which means it'll survive in low light, and it'll even survive in like fluorescent office light. Because in my office we have tons of pothos, and they're doing just fine without any real sunlight. But it doesn't mean they can't live in a bright, sunny window. And with like, for example, with the golden pothos, you can see a lot more variegation when there's more sunlight. And variegation just like multiple colors, like green and white. And it gives it a little golden tinge when it's like in between those colors. And with the exception of the Marble Queen, the Jade Pothos, this one needs a little bit more light, so I would not recommend it in like an office unless you have like bright indirect sunlight. But I would recommend like a golden pothos or like a neon, because they're simple. They're also affordable. You can find one for like $10 anywhere. I think I bought mine at Home Depot or Lowe's. But you just water them, fertilize them, spring through the end of summer, and they'll do happy. And you can, like, for example, this one, I wanted it to get long and I wanted it to climb, so I have hooks on the wall for it to climb up. And you'll notice if you do allow it to climb either like a pole or the wall, the leaves will get bigger, which makes sense because there's more support. Whereas if you just let it hang and trail down, it'll have small leaves and they'll be a lot further apart. And it's a different look. It doesn't mean it's not healthy. Just like what you like. If you're a size queen, or if you like small ones. But I'm gonna try to get it to climb my wall, mostly just because I like the drama of it all. And then when people come over, they'll notice it first off, and it's kind of like a good piece of art if you think about it. And that's it. For fertilizer, I use fish emulsion, which I bought a while ago, and it's basically just like ground up fish, and it's a natural organic fertilizer because I don't like using chemicals on my plants, and they seem to react really well to the fish emulsion. Now they will die if you water it too much, because it can get root rot. I've had a few pieces die. But when you're shopping for them, a good tip is just to look at it, make sure there's no bugs, look around the whole plant, underneath the leaves. And then you also want to find a plant that's like full, like this one, or like my neon over here. Because that was one of my first mistakes with this lady. She had like a few vines, and it wasn't full. It was like someone balding, essentially. But if you really want like a nice healthy plant, that especially if you're new to plants, a fuller one is better because there's more roots. It can soak up excess water easy, and it can, I don't know if this is like scientifically proven, but I feel like plants just like to be together with some of its brothers and sisters. And that's it. Now in the winter, in the Midwest especially, because it's such a dramatic winter, you definitely want to cut back on water. I still do it every week because it's just part of my routine. But what I do is just less. Less is more. Or like occasionally, I'll maybe stretch out the waterings to like a week and a half instead of a week. But it's super easy. And these guys, they're pretty easy to take care of. And they will get aerial roots, which are like little nubs on the vine. Because in nature, that's what they use to climb up trees and to hook onto things. But that's it. It's not too bad. And if you're like me, you're gonna fall in love with them and then find different variations. And you'll just have them all over. I have a small apartment, so I'm trying not to buy a ton of plants. But that's not really, it's not working. Because I'm like, oh, well, that's something new. Let me try that one out. But what I find is remarkable, they'll live under fluorescent lighting in an office with no natural sunlight. So that says something about the plant. That says something. But it's a fun gift for people. Because like you can just, like for example, I could just trim it off a few pieces, put it in water, a couple weeks later, plant it, boom, there's a gift. But my friends aren't, they'll probably be like, what is this? I don't know. I have some plant friends, but some people are not as good at plants, plant care. But it's a fun thing. And they're not something that's like invasive where it gets super, super big. You can always just trim it back and then kind of put it in different places in your house because it'll adapt to whatever space you have. And they'll create new things, new little nodules at the very end. Now, I think next week I'm going to separate this and you'll see that. So stay tuned. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. And you can follow me on Instagram at Planted in Detroit. All right, bye. Well, that's great. Doesn't work.